Hey, it's Bill from the Bill Simmons podcast. FIFA World Cup 26 fans, listen up. Is the official beer sponsor of the FIFA World Cup 26. Michelob Ultra is giving away $1 million worth of FIFA World Cup 26 tickets and prizes. Enter now at michelobultra.com/superior access/FIFA World Cup 26. Michelob Ultra FIFA World Cup 26 superior access. No purchase necessary. Open U.S. residents 21 plus begins on December 1st, 2025. Ends on July 31st, 2026. Multiple entry periods. Visit www.michelobultra.com/superior access/FIFA World Cup 26 for free entry deadlines, prizes, and details.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Tuned Into Tennis. I'm your host, Myles David, back again to bring you the most colorful tennis commentary that you can find on the internet. This is our first episode of 2025. Happy New Year, everyone. I hope it's been safe and pleasant to you so far. So far, so good on my end. No complaints. We're going to go back to the track listing version of things for this episode, okay? Where I kind of walk you through a couple music tracks that I'm digging right now or that I think coincide with some of the hot topics in tennis right now, give you guys the rundown on all of that, and then leave the link to this episode's playlist in the description. Okay? How does that sound? Does that sound cool? Let's get to it, okay? Let's just jump into today's EP, if you will. The first track on the EP today is Up All Night by Drake and Nicki Minaj, which is in reference to my sleep pattern at the moment, because the Australian Open swing and time zone is a bitch. But maybe a bitch that's worth it, because the amount of matches that are kind of all happening and in swing by the time you get off of work, and like if you have kids, get settled and get the kids to bed, it's really fun to kind of see all of those matches play out when it's evening time here in the States and early afternoon or morning time in Australia. Or you can kind of flip the script, which is a nod to another track on this episode coming up. Keep that in mind. Or if you want to wake up early for whatever reason, if you're a morning early bird, and catch some of the matches that are actually, like I said, early in the States, but evening in Australia. So that's like 3-4 a.m. on the East Coast is like 8-9-ish in Australia. And those matches are really fun if you can coordinate your sleep schedule and not be up all night. Or if being up all night works for you, then hey, do your thing. I can't judge you, because I've surely spent some nights really up and watching the Australian Open. The draw has actually been just released for the first Grand Slam of the year, AO 2025. I did a real-time reaction to it after a couple of drinks, mind you, and that's up on YouTube, so go over and check that out if you like. Also, while I'm doing small plugs, I guess it would be a fine time to mention that yours truly is now officially a contributor to the Sports Illustrated family. Saying that out loud on a mic is kind of crazy, to be honest, but I will be contributing to the Serve on SI website, and I've already published 2 articles that will be linked in the description of this episode that you can check out. See, there's a lot of things going on in the episode description here. See, we want you to look at the episode description and be tuned in, okay? Where was I? Yeah, so Serve on SI, it's where I'll be putting some of my thoughts about this year's Australian Open and the rest of the season. So it's kind of my new gig to contribute to that website, get my thoughts out about tennis, and hopefully you guys engage with that, share the articles, and give me your feedback on it. I really would appreciate that. Honestly, I'm just glad to have a platform now to kind of center my thoughts and put them out in a more polished way. So I'm looking forward to growing in that atmosphere, and just grateful for the opportunity that somebody saw something in me that's a part of the Sports Illustrated family and was like, hey, come on and do your thing over here. So yeah, that feels good. And I already appreciate you guys that have reached out and congratulated me over social media or text or whatever. I really, really appreciate that. So thank you guys for rocking with me. And yeah, I think that's the end of track 1. Let's move on to track 2. Track 2's name is going to be Almost Doesn't Count, and that's Almost Doesn't Count by Brandy, the magnificent Brandy, who sometimes I feel like gets lost in the sauce, but like if you know, you know. She's a great vocalist and has great deep cuts. I might play a couple of her deep cuts on the road today when I get in my truck, so we'll see about that. Anywho, Almost Doesn't Count is the track I use for this second one today because it's about Naomi Osaka withdrawing from the Auckland final against Clara Towson. Like Brandy says in the song, almost made you love me, almost made you cry, almost made you happy, babe, didn't I, didn't I? And Naomi, you usually make me happy, but this felt like the precipice of something big and you just almost did it. You were up a set against Clara Towson and things kind of went left with her physical condition and she was forced to retire. And it was really awkward because Clara Towson, like I said, had dropped the first set. So she didn't feel like she was in a winning position in the match. And then for a couple of moments to kind of go by and you actually be standing there lifting the trophy, that's kind of awkward. So it ended awkwardly, but the run Naomi had in Auckland was, I would say, fun to watch because it's nice to see Naomi putting match wins together, but her draw was kind to her. So she kind of, in my mind, should have won those matches, but realistically, she just has to kind of do the thing, which is win matches these days. So it was kind of nice to see her do the thing, which is go to the net and shake hands as a winner in these matches. And then at the final match, the final hurdle, kind of come up short. So that sucked. She hasn't lifted a trophy at any level since the 2021 Australian Open, so winning a title here would have been huge. And a lot has transpired in her life since that 2021 Australian Open. Speaking of, she made a public statement saying that she was no longer with her boyfriend Corday. And if I can be blatantly honest about that, I still don't know who that man is or what he sings. So I'll take it for what it is and be happy that she was able to get a lovely daughter out of that situation, I guess. And more power to her and Naomi, because she's a 20-something. I understand what 20-something heartbreak is like, trust me. And hopefully she can process that and still kind of keep her mind on the tennis. And like I said, more power to her. She's going to need it because she's up against Caroline Garcia once again in the first round of the Australian Open. They played literally 12 months ago in the same round and Garcia took the W. So I'm hoping Osaka has healed up from whatever physical or maybe even mental/emotional issues that stopped her from playing her best in that Auckland final and ultimately having to retire from the match. Because her draw in Australia, even if she makes it past that match against Caroline Garcia, it's a tough draw. And if she really wants to start making inroads at the biggest tournament, she's going to have to beat some of the best. It's just her ranking is where it is. It's not the lowest it's ever been, but it's certainly not the highest. And she's just going to have to, kind of go through the players in front of her if she wants to really get back at the top of women's tennis. There's nothing else to it but to win. So I'm hoping Naomi Osaka can find some form in the first couple of months of the year. If not this Australian Open, maybe the other hard court tournaments that are to follow. But wishing her the best for sure. All right, on to the next track. This is kind of one of those like throwaway tracks, if you will. It's called OnlyFans by T.O. Green, who I'm really not sure who T.O. Green is, but this song works for me when I looked it up because it's something I can kind of see myself vibing to in the club or the lounge with my drink. It just has a nice beat to it. Like I said, I really don't know this song for real, but I let's consider it a little throwaway track or interlude for today's episode. But it does have a small sample of Notorious B.I.G. and Lil Kim's what is it? Yeah. Why did I say Don't Get Money on my notes here? It's Notorious B.I.G. and Lil Kim's Get Money, which is one of my favorite songs of all time. If I've had a good drink and a good night and the DJ plays that song, I promise you I will rap every single part of that song gleefully and gladly. So that's a classic. Anywho, Alexander Muller, a name you guys might not be familiar with because I'm certainly not that familiar with him. He won in Hong Kong the ATP 250 tournament that was kind of awkwardly not in with the rest of the tournaments actually located in Australia, but it still had a pretty good field with Lorenzo Musetti and Arthur Fils and Andrei Rublev, none of whom actually won the event. And the man standing was Alexander Muller or Muller. He's French, so maybe Muller. I may be butchering that a little bit. Alexander defeated the never going away Kei Nishikori. He reached his career high of 56 in the world with the victory. And the only reason this is a note for me, or noteworthy, is because he has a OnlyFans sponsorship. Yes, he has a brand sponsorship deal with the brand OnlyFans, who a lot of us have seen OnlyFans links in Twitter bios. I'll say that. So I find that interestingly funny. I'm not sure what he has on his, if he actually has an OnlyFans, and what he updates his fans on. That is to be determined. But shout out to Alexander for lifting his first career title in Hong Kong. I thought that was an interesting little tidbit there. Thought that was cool. All right, let's go on to the next track, which is Certainly Flipped It by the one and only Erykah Badu. That is from her Baduism album. Anytime I feel like I'm in my head wrap and burning incense mood, that's a go-to. I love Erykah Badu. I love that album. But this is actually in reference to Coco Gauff, the one and only Coco Gauff. Coco is actually starting to flip the script on Iga Swiatek. Certainly. See how I did that? Certainly flipped it. Bingo. Gotta be with me here, okay? Gotta be with me. So Coco defeated Iga Swiatek en route to helping Team USA win the United Cup, which was held in actually 2 different cities in Australia, Perth and Sydney. She played her opening couple of rounds in round robin in Perth, and then the event moved to Sydney, which is where she got that match victory over Iga Swiatek. The match they played was definitely one of the best of the tournament, and absolutely, without a doubt, the best tennis I've ever seen Coco Gauff play, especially against a tough opponent that has been really tough for her in the past, which is Iga Swiatek, you know, the clay court queen and just overall dominant player of the last couple of years. I think this means good things for Coco going forward into the Australian Open and the rest of the season, really. The aura that she has seen to be, the aura that she has seems to be intensifying, and the things in her game that needed improvement did look improved in the United Cup. She's more aware of where her hand is placed on the grip of her racket. So shout out to her new coach for making that adjustment. And she opens up her Australian Open campaign against a former champion, actually, Sofia Kenin. Remember her? Sophia Kenin won the Australian Open back in 2020. So that'll be a match that they probably hype up to be a blockbuster because of Kenin defeating Coco at one point. I mean, as recently as the 2023 Wimbledon, Kenin took out Coco, so there's that. But Kenin isn't the same player she once was, and Coco is better than she ever has been. So hopefully those two things come to bear and Coco handles that match accordingly. I will be watching and rooting for Coco.
Imagine buying your kid a toy only to find the batteries aren't included, or buying furniture but missing the tools to build it. Frustrating, right? Now imagine the exact same feeling, but you're paying way more. That is what buying business software usually feels like. Fragmented, disconnected, and incredibly expensive. Odoo completely changes that. Odoo is a complete, fully integrated business suite where all your apps actually talk to each other. We're talking automated lead routing for your sales team, seamless AI integration, and intuitive point-and-click website builder. It's everything your business needs to scale, saving you time, headaches, and money. Stop piecing your software together. Go to odoo.com. That's ODOO.com to learn more.
This summer, serve up the Cookout Classics, Oscar Mayer hot dogs and Heinz mustard. Grill up a dog, add classic yellow mustard, or loaded Chicago style. We all know it's not a cookout without Oscar Mayer and Heinz.
All right, let's get back into the tracks for today. This next one up is going to be called Stick Talk by Future. That's from one of his best albums to me. I love that album back that's been 10 years now. Dirty Sprite 2 with that very interesting album artwork that looks like a paint drop that exploded. Anyway, if you know, you know. Like, I'll link all of this into the podcast description, so you'll be able to see the the album artwork. But Stick Talk, nonetheless, is the name of this track, and it's in reference to Nick Kyrgios, who is continuously and still talking shit. Kind of similar to Future in a way, actually. Both are very popular figures, but not necessarily within the industry that they're actually in, if that makes sense. Monetarily, they're very successful because they have a legion of fans who see past a lot of their bullshit, but somehow me and the rest of us really, we don't see past it. In the song, Future says, quote, "No manners for no sluts, I'ma put my thumb in her butt." And in my opinion, I think Nick Kyrgios could benefit from a thumb in his butt. Maybe it'll get him off of everyone else's crotch and stop hating from the sidelines. I mean, he's played one match in like 2 years, maybe 2 matches in 2 years. Pull out your actual racket as a 29-year-old and either put up or shut up, Nick. Like, we clearly see that you have a large pool of talent. Injuries have played a role in your career, but also you just being who you are and getting in your own way has made it difficult to kind of root for you and look at you as anything other than an asshole, really. And I'm not saying that to say he has to like shut up and dribble and just be an athlete, but dude, you're actively talking shit on the internet about fellow players on the tour and even some junior players. He got into it with Leighton Hewitt's young son, who's like 16 or 17-year-old on the junior tour, and made some inferences about or inferences and references to the Yannick Sinner doping situation, all in his comments publicly. He's made some weird Twitter comments about the same situation with Yannick Sinner and Iga, all about doping and a clean sport, and making a clean sport some kind of crusade of his. All the while, like, everyone you're talking about is actually playing tennis, and you mostly aren't. So if you're gonna play, and if not, you need to gather up your lackeys and play some Pokemon video or whatever it is that you're interested in, and either leave us alone or don't. Like, pick one, because you're straddling the fence between this, like, aggregator online and being a quote-unquote professional tennis player. You can't be both. Either you're going to play tennis or you're going to be like some annoying content creator that used to play tennis. But pick one, my guy. Pick one and stop the talking. All right. Next track. Hope I didn't read Kyrgios too badly. If I did, oh well. We can talk about it. Next track, kind of keeping up with the idea of drama, is called Be Real by Kid Ink and Dej Loaf. And honestly, I haven't heard the song in forever, but it was a dead giveaway that I had to put it in the track listing because Danielle Collins used this song as a direct dig to Iga Swiatek on her Instagram story. Collins posted her going through and shaking Team Poland's hands during their matches, before their matches got underway in the finals of the United Cup. And after she briefly gave a tap or like a handshake to Iga, the camera picked up her very visible eye roll, and she added the song Be Real as her backtrack to the moment. If you rewind to the Olympics this past summer, the two had an awkward run-in after Collins retired mid-match with an injury and just really didn't feel in the mood for Iga's apparent fake concern or whatever. So it leads me to believe that those two don't see it for each other. I'm guessing Collins also feels a way because Iga has been caught up in her own doping controversy in the past couple of months. So that obviously must be adding some level of the disdain Collins has for her. Which I don't really mind. I personally thought that the post was hilarious. Some people were trying to make it bigger than it was and calling her immature and stuff like that. And yeah, it was petty, but like, I don't mind some petty tension between athletes. It makes for good television watching. Like, you rolling your eyes after, giving a handshake to your opponent that you don't really care for, just on the grand scheme of things, is really not that deep. Like, is it mildly disrespectful? Sure. But like, you can't like everybody. Everybody can't like you. There's going to be tension between people that play a sport for a living, and there's just tension in general. Like, you have tension with your coworker at work right now, don't you? Like, it happens. It's life, you know? It's what it is. Speaking of tension, though, this next track is called Pulling Me Back, and that is a Chingy song featuring Tyrese. Remember when Tyrese used to actually sing? Now he just rides around in cars on like the 75th edition of the Fast and the Furious movie. Like, some of those movies are good, but like, I also feel like, what are we doing here? Like, there's like 10, 11, 12 of them realistically. And I mean, he's getting money. So, but he actually sounds really good on this track. I had to remind myself of just how good a song this is. So make sure after you listen to this episode, you go back and play Pulling Me Back with Chingy and Tyrese. Anyway, this track is in reference to the drama surrounding Elena Rybakina and her on-again and off-again coach, Stefano Vukov. If you don't know about Stefano Vukov, it was recently announced that the WTA has launched an investigation into Vukov's actions as Rybakina's coach. Several people around the WTA and the tennis world have made heavy nods to what they think is abuse between a coach and a player. Rybakina herself has not done much to sort of quell those rumors, because in the offseason, she announced that former Wimbledon champion and coach of Novak Djokovic, Goran Ivanisevic, would be her head coach for the 2025 season. But only a couple weeks later, she went to her Instagram story and said that Vukov would be rejoining as a member of the team, and she released some quotes after her United Cup match that she's, quote, never been treated badly, and that her and Vukov could, quote, do a lot of things together off the court. So those are just two quotes I pulled from some things that she was asked and said after her United Cup matches. But yeah, optically, the situation doesn't look too good at all. I'm wishing her the best. Like, you all know, she's not my favorite to watch or root for, really, because she seems very disinterested in the whole gig of being a tennis player often. But that doesn't mean I want to see her in an abusive relationship. And it's an awkward, the whole situation is in an awkward place right now, because she's saying no to something that everyone around her seems to be seeing clearly. It's just that she isn't seeing that. So I kind of wish her the best, and I want her to see clearly, because something keeps pulling her back to that specific coach. I understand they did good work together. They won Wimbledon together. And speaking of Wimbledon, this is also a nod to how weird that relationship and toxic it may be. The coach, Vukov, got a tattoo of her name and the Wimbledon, like, trophy/year she won it somewhere on his body. I saw a picture of that, and I don't believe it was Photoshop, and I don't remember, like, where on his body it was, but he actually got that tattoo, and that is just, like, forbid me from, like, not being happy to see your pupil do well, but getting a whole tattoo of them is... yeah, that's quite interesting. And then there's the dynamic of him being a male coach and her being a female, and just how those dynamics play sometimes. It's just icky all about. So wishing her the best in that situation. All right. We are almost to the end of this EP we have building here. Let's go to the second to last track. Today, we are looking at the song Build by Justin Sky and Aaron Ray. I chose this track because it talks about building a man and what he would probably look like if you could really control his attributes or appearance. Kind of like, you know, if you're playing NBA 2K or Top Spin 2K25 or any one of those games where you can kind of build your own player and add attributes and strengths and stuff like that. If I had the ability to put together attributes and build the tennis player I would want in a perfect world, it would probably be Giovanni Impesci Pericard. Pericard has a huge weapon in his serve, and he's nowhere near afraid to lean into that and use it and dominate his matches with it. Even if people call him boring or say he's a serve bot, I personally don't subscribe to that, because I see a lot of attributes outside of him that are strong, or outside of the serve, I should say, that are strong. His forehand is heavy, and he can dominate from different areas of the court with that forehand. He takes up so much space at the net because he's 6'8", and his wingspan and athleticism make him hard to pass, and which makes him even more fun to watch up there. He has pretty decent hands for a big guy, so it's just just a fun watch. He reached the semifinals of the ATP 250 tournament in Brisbane, beating Nick Kyrgios and Francis Tiafoe along the way before coming up short to Riley Opelka. Remember him? I don't. Side note, Riley also took out Novak Djokovic en route to getting to the final of that tournament. So do with that information what you will. I'm not sure if that means Novak Djokovic is in poor form or if that means Riley Opelka just got him on a good day. I'm not sure what to do with that. I'll keep an eye on Novak Djokovic in the Australian Open. Did I just say that? Yeah, I'll keep an eye on him. But back to Giovanni. All in all, I'm just really enjoying the come up of Giovanni and want to see how he keeps improving. He's only 21, and with health on his side, he does have time to make a huge impact, I feel. Plus, if I could just say this, he fills out his Nike shorts very well. I'm just saying, he got legs for days. Like I said, he's 6'8", he's strong, he's built, and yeah, I can see him getting a lot more people into tennis just based off of how he kind of carries himself. He looks like a basketball player mixed with a linebacker that just so happens to have a tennis racket in his hand and is really good at using it. So that speaks to people. It speaks to me. Okay, so speaking of Nike shorts, I picked this last song for this episode because it fits perfectly. It's called Swoosh by Goldlink. And it's in reference to the amount of players who have parted ways with the hugely popular Nike brand. Nike in general has not really been putting their best effort into tennis since Roger Federer, Maria Sharapova, Serena Williams, and Rafael Nadal have kind of all phased out of playing tennis. And it really is sad to see because when I mentioned those names, my mind instantly went to like recognizable and kind of feature outfits that each one of those players wore on the court. And Nike has lost that momentum of like kind of curating outfits and apparel for their megastars and who they're actually signed to. They've lost some very considerable talent over the past couple years, and most recently at the beginning of this year, Italian top 20 player Lorenzo Musetti stepped away from Nike, and he's now wearing Asics, a Japanese brand that make very comfortable shoes, by the way. If you're a tennis player, Asics makes the most comfortable tennis shoes. And also, Francis Tiafoe, top 20 American crowd favorite, has been rumored to be going away from Nike and towards New Balance or Lululemon. He's been seen training with some New Balance shoes and a K-Swiss shoe at that. So there's a lot swirling around with that in Francis Tiafoe. But the insiders know one thing for sure is that his days as a Nike athlete are definitely numbered. And I think Nike's days as a heavyweight in tennis fashion are numbered as well. It sucks to see, but the last couple of seasons, they just have not seemed to be taking a serious interest in the fashion aspect of tennis, which is not everything, but I do think the fashion aspect of tennis is something that sets it apart and makes it interesting. And if you're not taking advantage of that as a huge brand like Nike, then you're kind of doing yourself a disservice, especially when you have talent that can be dressed well. You just aren't doing it. So you take a look at what the players are wearing at this year's Australian Open and you be the judge of where Nike's going. But while you're looking at those outfits during the AO, make sure you follow Tuned Into Tennis across all socials. Yes, this is the end of our episode. I wanted to make it a quick one. Leave a review for the pod on Apple or Spotify and tell a tennis friend about the show. That's always helpful. This has been a fun talk through with you guys. As always, I'll be back next week with my thoughts on the opening days of the 2025 Australian Open tournament. I can't believe we're at the top of a new year already and it's 2025 and I have to get used to writing that on the top of my paper. But I'm also excited for what it can bring. So cheers to bringing in all the good stuff and leaving the bad stuff behind. Talk to you guys soon and take care.